Good afternoon, class. My name is Craig Conrad, and I'm here to present to you how the book of Sparing Nature, the conflict between human population growth and Earth's biodiversity, supports and conflicts with modern scientific research. The overview. We're going to go over the book Sparing Nature and a little about the author's background. Then we're going to look at 5 articles about deforestation, invasive species being put on to help native species, extinctions of plants and animals, potential effects of dams on migratory fish, the effects of shrubs on carbon dioxide. Then I will go over what sources I use for the presentation. First, let's look at a little background information. Sparing Nature was written in 2003 by author Jeffrey McKee. McKee currently works at Ohio State University in the Department of Anthropology. He has 40 years of experience in science. He has bachelor's, master's, and a PhD, all in anthropology. His field experience includes from 1979 to 81, he was doing archaeological surveys in Ohio and Missouri. In 1982, he was excavating human remains in Kentucky. And from 1988 to 2006, held numerous director and investigator positions in northern Providence, South Africa. Positive species interactions as a driver of vegetation change on Barrier Island. This article was published in 2015 by Coastal Journal. It showed how invasive species can help an ecosystem and not hurt it like most people think. They transplanted mature non-native plants into an area to support native plants on the island. These new plants provided shade and root structure. With this new root structure and shade, evaporation lost and erosion was reduced. This goes against what Chapter 2, page 33 of Sparing Nature says, where you can't remove a species from an ecosystem to save a species. With proper research and some invasive species information, you can actually help an area. Next, we're going to look at the assessment of deforestation, biodiversity loss, and the associated factors. This was a case study in southwestern Nigeria. The article was published in 2011 in Geo Journal. This studied biodiversity loss caused by humans, just like Sparing Nature talks about. The time frame studied was 1978 to 2003. The area had a 5% deforestation rate from logging, farming, and housing due to human population increase. The habitat loss during this time caused for plants and animals to go extinct from the area that couldn't adapt to the expanding territory. This compares to what McKee talked about in Chapter 1 of Sparing Nature in his native Ohio, how the expanding cities were killing off the rivers and bogs. Next, we're going to talk about ecological networks are more sensitive to plant change and animal extinction under climate change. It was published by Nature Communication in 2016. It talks about how plants have a bigger impact on an area when they go extinct than animals have due to climate change. Plants just can't get up and move like an animal can. When plants die, the animals lose a food source. If the animals choose to leave the area, they can adapt to new food sources. Plants, well, they can't move. Sparing Nature talks about animal extinction in Chapter 4 due to climate change. If rapid climate change occurs, an ecosystem can adapt and species will go extinct. Next, we're going to talk about potential effects of dams on migratory fish in the Mekong River. This article was published in 2011 by Environmental Management. Shows how past mistakes in the Pacific Southwest can help develop the Mekong River in China. Using how dams affected the salmon migration can help prevent the same issues for 135 fish species on the Mekong River. The improper planning could affect millions of people in the world's largest freshwater fishing area. This could cause economies to collapse on the river. The same ideas were talked about in Sparing Nature, Chapter 7. Dams can cause less fish to spawn and drop in the biomass numbers. Flooding an area can also make plants and animals lose their ecosystem and will have to adapt to the new change, or they will just die out. Next, we're going to talk about the shrub effects on carbon dioxide and water vapors and grasslands. This article was published in 2005 by Rangeland Ecology and Management. It explains how grasslands can and will reduce carbon dioxide. With proper management and adding non-native species to this areas can have a greater effect on how much carbon dioxide is removed from the atmosphere. They can use lands in these areas to plant new plants to suck up carbon. In Chapter 8, pages 154 to 158 in Sparing Nature, it talks about the same concept. This will also help with soil erosion and keeping the moisture in the soil. If there's any other information needed, here are 3 or 4 of the sources I used. The next slide will have the rest of the sources. Here are 3 more sources. In conclusion, Sparing Nature was written before these articles and talked about a lot of the same concept. Sparing Nature also covered multiple areas in this degree planned to include invasive species, biodiversity loss, human population growth, extinction of animals and plants, restricting watersheds, biomass loss, carbon dioxide reduction, soil erosion, climate change, and many more. All articles that were used have a direct link to Sparing Nature. The book shows how history can help scientific research be explored and how the past can save the future. Thank you for listening.